I was looking through your most viewed videos, and typically that's not indicative of what the creator likes to do. If you look at my most viewed videos, I don't enjoy making a lot of those, but they're the ones that blow up. And I'm sure that's the case with a lot of YouTubers. They don't even expect those videos to blow up. But one thing I did notice is I saw so much stuff on fictional content like Fallout. I saw a couple other things that you had done, and I noticed you don't do those kind of things anymore. I'm curious about why you did those and maybe why you stopped, and then also if that led you, if scratching that itch, if you did enjoy those things, led you to go to Pointless Hub to do more fiction or to change up the whole format a bit. I'm just kind of curious about that.
Yeah, I haven't really done fictional lore videos for a while, which is funny because it's like I love doing those videos. It's one of those things where it's like I didn't want to just be put in a box doing only lore videos, because the channel was Alternate History Hub. So I wanted the lore videos to be kind of the advertisements almost for the rest of the channel. You know how it's like you have a few tentpole videos that you know are going to blow up, and they kind of bring in people that might stay for the rest of the content. At least that's how my channel is, because my channel has kind of a bunch of different stuff that I do. And the really niche alternate history nerd stuff, I think, gets the least amount of views. Nobody really cares about the alternate history stuff. But they come in because I talk about fictional lore stuff, or I talk about like ancient aliens, or I do the gimmick, big stuff that normal people that aren't super nerds actually care about. And I don't know, I kind of did that for a few years, and then I tried to make it where every quarter, every other few months, I do something that's not alternate history related. But I think especially in like the last 2 years or so, time's just been like going really fast for one. So I look back and I'm like, oh man, it's been like 6 months and I haven't made this type of video or whatever. But I also was kind of like, hey, I wanted to stick closer to alternate history for a little bit, because I had a lot of people just kind of complaining and going like, oh, well, he hasn't made alternate history in so long, or oh, he's only been doing like this alternate geography stuff or whatever. So I thought, okay, I'm just gonna make hardcore alternate history stuff for the fans. And so I was kind of staying away from fictional lore for a little bit. I have wanted to get back into doing it, but I think for one, there's so many people now that make lore videos that are very specifically for like one niche. So I wanted to do a Warhammer 40k lore video. I've always wanted to do a Warhammer 40k lore video, but there's so many people that do 40k videos. So either I go in like all the way and make it in some special way that differentiates myself from everyone else, or I go into like the most like, I don't know. It would be something that I would have to put a lot of effort into. Yeah. I also had another video I wanted to do. A buddy of mine is super into a mech RPG game called BattleTech, and I really got into BattleTech too. It's like it's just like these super slow mechs and they fight each other, but the lore is super deep, and and it's kind of tied into history stuff too. It's like how Dune has a bunch of like houses and medieval elements, even though it's all in space. That's kind of what BattleTech has. It has a bunch of medieval elements, even though it's in space. So I think a bunch of history nerds could really get into it. Yeah. But it's also
there's definitely an overlap
niche
with that, I think, especially Warhammer. I bet if you did something on Warhammer, I doubt people are going to go, oh, I've seen other lore videos on it. I think just because of your branding or exposing people who like alternate histories to I think in some ways Warhammer is an alternate history, because even their map, at least their old world, I don't know too much about Warhammer, but I know their old one is based on, it looks like a globe in a way, just with distorted continents and exaggerations of fantasy elements.
I think that would be fun to do. I mean, I usually do it when I feel like views are going down a little bit, and there's not, you know, I've almost gone too, it's like a wave. It's like you have that one video that's like super popular, and then I use that to kind of fuel the rest of the alternate history videos. And now I'm kind of in that lower end of the wave right now, where I'm like, oh, views aren't that great. So honestly, probably in like the next month or two, I could probably do a lore video, and hopefully that would explode.
I think people would like that. Even like Scythe and other popular kind of alternate history, but like fantasy worlds. I think people are getting into those in some cases more than the history itself. I think there's something fun,
for sure.
Especially because some people can contribute, and their own fan-made content can be, it encourages creativity because it's born out of creativity. I think some people now I don't really fall in that camp. I don't follow a lot of those, but I understand the appreciation a lot of history nerds tend to have for that. I think there's some that I could probably get into, but for now I'm just sticking with the real world stuff.
That's fair. I mean, that's your bread and butter. I think with me, alternate history itself is inherently just a super nerdy niche thing. So if I talk about some niche nerdy lore that kind of has some holdover that people are going to like that.
Yeah. A lot of it's becoming mainstream, though. I mean, we've got a Fallout TV show. You did it. Your old. Yeah. I think one of your most popular videos was on Fallout lore, and I bet the people playing Fallout 3 in New Vegas, that was very niche. If you said you played those kind of games, people didn't really know. But I think nowadays, I feel like a lot of things that were considered nerdy, even video games in general in the early 2000s or before then, but I think we grew up as that transition changed. People are viewing them as much more mainstream now.
Oh yeah, Warhammer I would not say is niche anymore. BattleTech I would say is niche. But yeah, I think I'll do a lore thing in a little bit. I just kind of I'm kind of going back and forth with my content because it's like I like talking about like alternate history and history stuff, but I'm also not like an expert in the level that like I think especially history YouTube, the way that it is now, there's so many people that create a channel specifically dedicated to one era, and I'm not that. And it's like I love I love all those channels that focus specifically on like one era, but they also have like PhDs on this stuff. They know, they wrote dissertations on the 5-minute video that they're talking about, like Tolden Stone. Tolden Stone's like my favorite history channel on YouTube, and he just talks about ancient Rome, and he has books about ancient Rome. But it's like I can never do that because I'm not specifically a, I'm general. I'm a general person. So I think what I'm doing, I want to kind of do with the channel is kind of pivot from just that alternate history stuff. I have a guy that I'm bringing in that is kind of he's doing alternate history, but not in that predicting sense. He's bringing a fictional element to it, that it's a story. And I think that's kind of what I want to do with the channel is I want to turn the channel not into an educational channel anymore. I want to make it just a place for like super nerds that like countries and flags and to just talk about stuff.
I think there's plenty of an audience for that too. Like even Kaiserreich for Hearts of Iron was very, I see that being more popular in some cases than the actual history.
Oh, 100%. I think Alternate History Hub, I think it's been kind of stunted a little bit in the last few years by this artificial constraint that I put on it for no reason. Because the way that I do alternate history isn't even like how alternate history is. Like alternate history is fiction. It's just about telling a story. But I was using it as a way to teach history, but that's just not really how YouTube is anymore. Right. With like, it's almost like they're kind of excuses to talk about the history itself, but I might as well just talk about the history. So what I kind of want to do is if I do an alternate history video from now on, kind of just have fun with it. Like do it in a way that's not like, it's not misinformation, but it is.
You just lean into
like, it. It's more short stories. Now.
That's cool.
Yeah. I think like I don't want to just have it be like, oh, this is 100% what's going to happen, because then that requires like so much research, way more research than like a normal history thing. Yeah, it does. Because you have all these avenues and stuff that you have to go down, and that just hampers it. Yeah. Because nobody really cares or thinks about the back end work that goes into it, because all they see is the finished product. But if you're telling a story, if you're talking about it, then people appreciate the story, and they don't care if you don't have the research, because it's about the characters at the end of the day, not necessarily the the alternate history nature of it.
I think that's a fun idea. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so I'm in a pass with it. Right now, Pointless Hub is a lot easier to do.
Yeah, it's doing so well, man. It's doing so well.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I can talk about, Transformers or some media that from my childhood way more easily than talking about, researching this historical
and people
thing.
like it, so it shows that type of... I think you might find something even with Alternate History Hub, where if you lean into that...
I think
people
I need
it.
to put that Pointless Hub energy into it. Yeah. I think that'd be fun, because I think but honestly, I haven't really admit, it's like with Alternate History Hub, I'm trying to rekindle that back into it. You know, it's how you have like with your channel, sometimes sometimes it's passion and sometimes it's a job.
Yep.
Like with Alternate History Hub, for at least I think ever since Pointless Hub's really taken off, Alternate History Hub's felt more of a job, and it's just because I've been approaching it wrong. I think I need to just approach it in a fun, carefree way. Talk about less important stuff.
I think that's necessary sometimes too. I had a time, mostly last year, when I was working on, or maybe the year before as well, but I was working on our video game, and that was so much more fun to me, and I was so much more passionate about it and present, that I really neglected the YouTube channel. And what we had something very strong, even with our website, everything was very strong, and I really let that go to get hyper focused on that. But I think now revisiting the channel, now that the game is done, I feel like you get kind of some of the creative energy back just by taking a break and exploring something else, and then you can kind of bring that back. So with what you're doing with Pointless Hub, I think it's a nice way to kind of adventure out, try creative things, and then you can, when you think it's time, you can adapt or change Alternate History Hub to those things that you learned, or just implementing more things you genuinely enjoy to making it more, like you said, less of a job and more of a passion. So yeah.
That's good. And so it's like, you get the idea.
Yeah.
You get what I'm talking about. But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of the nature of doing this stuff for so long, is your interests shift a little bit or they change. I think, but going back to the original thing of lore, I think I really need to just bite the bullet and do another lore video. I think maybe I wanted to really do the Battletech video this year, but I think that's a little too niche right now. I think to make the channel grow again, I think I just got to do that 40K video.
I think that would do very well. It sounds like mixing alternate history with Pointless Hub. That's what it sounds like to do those kind of videos, where you get people who like a certain piece of pop culture, whether it's a movie or a game that's popular, and you're kind of diving into the history. Or I noticed these video essays that really break down games or media. I think those have been taking off and doing very well. So I think that's a good pivot.